Okay, I'm back. It's me, Annalisa, my spiritual friend. Thank you for your patience and letting me jump off. I will wait now to make sure that you came back because I don't even know if that was 10 minutes. But my daughter really needed me. And so thank you for your patience. I will just chat about the story I was randomly telling about. I did this reading for this woman. Hi, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that. When it's live, you can't help little things here and there. And when you're the only, my husband we went to like a little water parky thing, and my oldest has never tolerated heat very well. She usually gets headaches and stuff from it. And so she came home with me so I could do this. And she had because she wasn't feeling well. She had a headache. And I guess she got a little sick from it. But she's okay. She's fine. She's in the shower, doing well. Anyway, so all right. Kay, are you here? And I'll finish answering your question. Deborah, I don't know if you're around. So I did a reading this week, and it was really interesting to me, and I've never seen something like this before. The woman's husband has something called Lewy bodies dementia, which is what Robin Williams had. And it is a form of dementia. And there's also things that come along with like hallucinations. And it was interesting to me because the way I got the information was because she was asking about his care and his health and kind of like what would happen. Is sort of removing, it says my connection isn't stable. If this gets bad, then I'm gonna throw you guys on my phone, do it from my phone and read the thing from here or whatever. But what I thought was fascinating is he's not actually hallucinating. He's just seeing spirit. And not only is he seeing spirit of loved ones that have crossed over and friends that have crossed over, I said, oh, he's seeing native indigenous people. And like there's other things that were happening that were creating kind of like visual disturbances for him, but they weren't. It was more just low light. Like however this was, it's affecting his vision. And he needs a little bit more light. But I was like, oh, he's like seeing spirit. Okay, look at me. Come in here and look at me. You're not on anything. Okay, so look at me. When there's 3 knobs, right?
I know, but I don't know which way it turned.
I'm gonna tell you it's okay. Turn it towards the toilet.
Okay,
so spin it this way.
I'm so confused.
Spin it like this to make it less hot.
I know, but how do I turn it on?
Counterclockwise. So if the clock spins this way.
Can you just do it really fast?
Okay, yes. I'll be back. I'm not logging off. You're just gonna have to sit and stare at an empty screen. Okay, let's go. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Your patience is amazing. Okay. Thank you. Jesus. Okay. I just asked her to turn off her Roblox, so hopefully maybe that's part of it too. Okay. That's my daughter that's autistic, and so she needs a little extra help. So thank you. Okay. Anyway, so he is seeing stuff. So sometimes I'm just wondering if in nursing, like we were taught, like, oh, if people are hallucinating, you're supposed to, tell them you believe them, but you're not seeing anything. And I wonder if more people aren't actually seeing spirit and things. Okay. I don't know how to pause this whenever you're doing it or mute. Is this how I do it? I figured out how to mute it. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Kay, are you here? Are you here? Are you here? She is. Well, she took a little shower and she's just gonna go rest. But yeah, it just the heat gets to her a little bit. So, and she's been that way since she was little. When she was a little teeny tiny baby, she was in a rear facing car seat and she would like she'd get so angry when she got so hot. So then I have always and since then been very aware of how seats feel like for them if they're rear facing and making sure that they have the overhead air conditioning vents, whatever. But she's never even in school when they go back because they don't have air conditioning in every classroom because it's an older building and it's the Northeast. And so, and she would just get headaches and things from heat, and she just kind of she just doesn't tolerate heat well. But I think that's also an autistic trait. I've found out that there's some temperature issues with that some people who have been diagnosed later in life, women that I follow have reported. They have some of them with cold and some with heat. I don't know. Anyhow, okay, Kay, I don't know if you're here, but Devry, the affirmations, prayers, and manifestations are really getting me through. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy for you, and I'm really grateful for that because I want you guys to be happy. I want you to love yourselves and see how amazing you are. My guides and family that I was close, proud of me. Oh, you don't even need me to ask that. Oh, yes. So the first person I saw come through was a grandmother figure, but then there's a male energy that comes through, and that feels more like I heard uncle, and I wanted to say a guide, but I don't usually attribute family members for guides. And I say that because I feel like, and this might be my own human bias, and they're too close to the human part of it to be decent guides. It feels like this might be a great uncle who you called uncle. It's funny because the heat doesn't bother me as much, but it does. So when I lived in an apartment that didn't have air conditioning, the heat really didn't bother me because you weren't making that transition. But it really does bother me when you go from air conditioning to heat to that's really tough for me. Okay. So that's who I feel like that is. Because I asked for somebody to step through that would make sense and be relevant for I'm seeing a lot of sunflowers connected around this too, Devry. So he's making me feel like it's really important for you to remember that you're doing really, really well on the path with this. And if you have a little tiny setback, don't get discouraged. It's sort of the universe testing you, especially when it comes to the affirmations, because they're sort of like when you're manifesting and affirming and it's like, do you really believe this? So something I found when I went out to California was there's this energy of insecurity, and I couldn't figure it out. And a lot of my own abandonment wounds and insecure feelings of not around my looks or anything, but just really around me as a person and being authentically me. And not, then that might be my divergence, but I'm kind of awkward and weird, not in a bad way, but I notice stuff other people don't really care about. like tile and how tile feels like not only just textural wise, but how it energetically feels. Kind of weird. So when you say, do they miss you? Not in the sense that we miss people, right? So they love you, they adore you, they're around you, they support you. And when I say, like, I want you guys to love yourselves the way, like, I get to see you, because I get to see you through the eyes of the love of like angels and of your guides and of your loved ones, where it's like there is no judgment. There is no, like, if you could just do this, like, you just wouldn't sigh that way or you wouldn't respond. Like, it's just this pure love. So that's how I get to see you guys. And I want you to see yourself that way too. Albert, long time no see. Hope you're well. So yeah, she loves you, but she doesn't miss you because she's around you. And in those moments, and this is really important. I saw this on TikTok. This woman, she goes by Mama Tot, Shoe Lover 99. And her son just passed away tragically. But I thought it was interesting because she was doing something, just blowing bubbles in the yard. There's a video of her just blowing bubbles. And she said, and right before she said this, I could see this, but she's like, I could just imagine my son here laughing at me, kind of making fun of me. And I saw him there, but he wasn't. He was laughing, like enjoying her personality and the cuteness and sweetness of it. And my response to her was like, trust that. I didn't say like, oh yes, he's there. I didn't want to like do that. But it's like when you get that feeling, like where you could just imagine your loved one talking to you, or you just imagine them being there and you're like, oh, I know that this is what they're with you in those moments. Like, just trust that. Just go with it. Don't think you're crazy. You're just making it up. That's how they let you know, that thought of like, oh, they would just be doing this right now. I could just almost like see him standing here. You're doing it. You're doing what I'm doing. It's much more natural than you realize. Hi, JS. So I really want to do some traveling to different places and experience something fresh and new. I've been picturing these beautiful places in my mind. Do you see me traveling next year? No, 2024. And not because like the world has gone to shit and you can't not, it just feels like it doesn't find place until then, because I do feel like it's a big trip that you take. And so it feels like there's different destinations within it. So it doesn't feel like a cruise though. And so it feels like 2024. I'm asking like, what's the delay? And so it's not COVID, but it just feels more like the difficulties that surround travel right now will have calmed down. So, all the flight cancellations and all the like lost luggage and everything like that feels like it calms down by then. Did Kay leave? I guess Kay just decided she got her answer and was like, peace out. Have any of y'all been like where you've been like, I mean, I know a lot of you are intuitive, but when you travel, you notice like a totally different collective energy. It was interesting because when I went and got my nails done, got my toes painted, and I don't do that much because I don't like people touching me very much. Because then I end up like, it's not very relaxing because I either have to like really work hard to just ignore whatever energy I'm picking up. And even sitting there, I was like, oh, she's got a like a husband that had passed away with her and her pet and like everybody and all their energy and like nobody was really happy that was sitting in there. It was like they had all the stuff and they had all the look to look happy and the right clothing and the right. They all just seemed like their energy was kind of gray and sad. And all these people had like a boatload of money and they were just fucking miserable. But I did talk to the lady who did my toes and she was fantastically amazing and interesting and loved to travel all over and help her friends open up their own nail salons and like go and work for them. And I loved her. Okay, Albert, did you pay for a question? Debri JS, did you pay for a question? Oh, thanks, Debri. So I don't think like it was just interesting. And it's not like I know people in the industry on the East Coast and the West Coast and like and people that I met there were just like Carrie and her husband are fantastic. And there was several other women who I just like adore. And it wasn't really the group of people I was with. It was just this very interesting because like I came home and I was like, I feel so much more secure in myself. Like that's weird. And it wasn't like, because this is my little bubble. It's like, it was very real. Oh, it's very real. Interesting thing. And I just wonder, and it's a different kind of quirkiness out there too. Like New York, like is quirky. And there's all kinds of like weird, quirky people, but it's just it's so different. The quirkiness is different too. It's very interesting. Oh, Allie, don't blame yourself for the bad vibes you pick up. And I wasn't even like, it was just really fascinating because when you're in it, like even I do this work and I'm in it, when it's the collective energy, it's a little bit harder. I don't know how to explain it. Work front. Still think I should. Oh, you changed me. Okay. So let's see, Albert. Hello. I hope you're in your family. Well, we are. It's not too late to pay for a question. Pay away. And I think you like Venmo. So if you want to Venmo, that's fine. I'm in between Florida and New York a bunch, and the energetic difference between the two it really is. And there's a difference. Like I don't notice the difference so much with like Texas and Wisconsin because I grew up in those areas, but it was such a vast difference because I've never been out there before. And I was like, oh. So even when you see those things on TikTok and people like the collective reading, I'm like, that might also be when I talk about like people are like not everybody experiences the same thing at the same time because we all hit that wave at a different point. But it's also about location, I think. It's fascinating. So first and foremost, when you say it feels evil to me, I'm going to tell you that I want you to trust your intuition about energy not feeling good. And also, not good doesn't always mean evil. There are negative entities and energies that feed off negative energy, right? Their source of, and I've talked about it here about how I've cleared a few things from, and I think everybody has a different perspective. This is just mine. So, take it for what it is. But what I find interesting is, and I'm asking them about, I'm like, well, why did she notice it? Because it feels like it's been around actually. It's not like it's just it can be an earthbound spirit. So sometimes people don't cross over, their soul doesn't cross over, not because God says they're so bad, but because they develop a belief system in life that they're not worthy and deserving of crossing over and being in the light. And because they, whatever they did that didn't fit that good enough thing. And so they stay here and they sort of like self-punish. And it can be that they were, it can be something like, oh, I'm one religion and we don't believe in taking your own lives. Not that I think anybody should take their own life. That's not what I'm saying. But like they believe they will be bad, you're really depressed, you're really feeling down in the dirt, you're so lonely and feeling so disconnected, but now I'm going to punish you further. Like, if it's like a parent figure, that's the most fucked up parent I've ever seen. Why are you following that God? Because you embrace your child when they're in the depths of it, and you carry them out. You don't punish them further because they didn't worship you right. It's fucked up. So to me, it feels like this would have been a being that felt like they were not deserving of crossing over. The reason why you noticed it now and the reason why you felt it is because your vibration has shifted. You have shifted your energy. And so you know what it is to feel here, and this is no longer feeding on you. Did you catch that? I'm buffering. Let me send my little sweets a message and make sure she's not on. She can appreciate that I'm buffering now. I had this really lovely conversation with my 9-year-old about, she was feeling bad that she's not as good on Robloxes. My oldest one is. My oldest is like, that's her like special interest. And this kid can wheel and deal. And like, she knows like the best way to do things. And like, it's really fascinating. She's always been sort of into kind of like stuff like that. And she's really good at categorizing and remembering which is the most special thing and which is not. She was little bitty. My other one's like, I'm not good at this like she is. I don't know what's a good deal and what's not a good deal. And I told her, first of all, she plays all the time. Oldest plays all the time. And yeah, sorry, she does. It's her special interest. She's really good at it. That's kind of her thing. And you know, you have to be willing to kind of be shitty at something in order to do better. I didn't say shitty to her, but I said, you have to be willing to suck at something. And then you practice and you get better at it and you work. And the same thing with affirmations and all this. You got to be willing to suck at it and feel uncomfortable with it. Then you move through it. It's practice. It is a spiritual practice because you have to practice it. Okay. So what I'm going to say again is, and feeding on your depression and your sadness and you're not feeling good because it's something that didn't quite cross over. The reason why you're feeling it now is because you've started shifting your energy, and what a beautiful awareness it is and what a beautiful gift. Like that really, if that doesn't show you that you're really doing the work and the affirmations and the all of that stuff is working, I don't know what else would. Like that's how we know when we're shifting, when you start to feel the energy of other things around you. So you're not doing anything wrong. You're just at a different vibration. So they were trying to get food from you, essentially, right? So if you're scared and afraid, that's an energy source for them. It will, and you can make it move on. So you can just say like, thank you so much for making yourself aware and known to me. I appreciate it. Like you say it with gratitude and like, it's time for you to leave. You set the stage. You can call on Archangel Michael to surround you with white light of protection and that energy. We always do things with love. It's much more powerful. So watch this back so you can remember this or start writing it down. Archangel Raphael for healing. You can keep doing the healing on yourself. Do the healing for them. Surround them with healing. Archangel Chamuel for love. They are the so love for yourself, love for them, because you know, just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean that you're not learning something from it. You're getting the opposition in order to feel that like a shift has been made. What a beautiful gift. And then send it love. And then Archangel Raphael, Michael, Chamuel, and Archangel Gabriel for communication to make sure that there's a clear connect, that they are very clear on it, anything that might not be going through. And then you just ask them, these angels, to help you move this being on and into the light, that it's safe to go into the light. And if they don't want to go into the light, just to move from your space. They are no longer welcome. And that's okay. This is your experience to have here. And sometimes you just have to be persistent. Don't move. And then don't sage, but get some frankincense. I just got this little box at like Whole Foods. It's little frankincense cones. And they it comes with a little tiny bowl. It's like a little fairy bowl. Oh shit, maybe this isn't. Oh, this is something different. Damn it. I don't know what Marrakesh is. That's the weirdest thing. I had weird. I thought I bought 2 of those. This is frankincense. Frankincense cones. Burn it. It'll smell like if you've ever been to Catholic service, whenever the priest walks down the aisle and he's swinging his thing. That's what it smells like. And they're removing negative energy. So sage welcomes spirit. This is something I've learned from watching, following indigenous people and learning about that stuff. Yeah. Okie doke. And it will. You know what? It's just look at it as like, instead of being scared or freaked out, like it's a lovely gift that you have to know that you've increased your vibration. So you notice the difference now. It's clay in Morocco. Yeah, but what does it do? There's got to be some spiritual property, I'm sure, to it. You don't have to look it up. I can look it up later. I mean, if it moves you to do that. Okay. So I'll quit rambling, but that's that. Man. Sorry, I'm going to go through my little PayPal-y thing. All right. Dulce. Okay. So Laura, I'll add you, and then Joelle, I'll add you. Joelle, it's late there, I'm guessing. Ooh, how lovely. What is it like there? I've never. Okay. Nicole, let's see. Can you tell me more about my connection with David Adele? Oh. Nicole, why do we feel like your energy is a little stagnant? Like you've been in a little funk for like a week and a half, 10 days? I don't know why John Edward just popped into my head. That, the psychic medium. Like I could just see him in my head. Oh, I didn't make the list. I didn't update it. Let me go up to the top. Oh, you know what? Gosh, here we go. Oh, okay. So that's what that is. I'm like, what's this like funk? Okay. That's like lovely. That makes sense. Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to just update the little list here. Okay. So they're ratting you out. And I'm not saying you're in trouble. I don't really care. You do what you want to do. But they're ratting you out in the sense that like it feels like in that 10 days, you didn't really do anything to like work on your self-concept, the affirmations, and oh, Albert, that's right. God love you. Joelle, I love you. Thank you. You know why I didn't see it? I'm sorry, Albert. Because Albert paid in Venmo and I only looked at PayPal. Joelle, thank you. I appreciate you. And Albert, I do appreciate you. There we go. Fixed. Done. Bam. So let Devry be your testament, because Devry held out on me for a long time. Every time I kept saying to her, and this is what the guys were saying, like, you got to do these affirmations. You got to work on this shit. You got to work. You got to shift your energy. And she's like, oh, it's working. And like, look at this really beautiful little thing that she came in. And she was like, I felt this weird energy and it was kind of scary. And it's literally like, you have to do this work, because in that time, it feels like the way they're showing me is like, you just sort of like kind of, I don't know if it's like, it's not necessarily feeling sorry for yourself, because I don't feel like you're playing the victim, but it's this sort of like, okay, now what? Like this lost feeling. And it's like, we've been telling you what, work on yourself stuff, work on your affirmations, do this. And you know that story where they're like, there's a flood coming and the Christian is like, oh, they're like, okay, well, there's flood coming. You need to get out of your house. And they're like, no, God will take care of us if it's flooding. And then like they send like, the fire truck comes to like get them off their roof. And they're like, no, God's going to save me. And then the boat comes and then the helicopter comes. And every time they're like, no, God's saving us from the flood. And then they end up on the, the steps in front of God. And they were like, why didn't you save us? He's like, well, I sent you this and I sent you that and I did this and I did that. And like, you like rejected it the whole time. Like, what do you want? Like the miracle coming to you, the thing coming to you is not going to be this like, oh, the whole world is shifting and this wonderful man is going to come in and like be amazing. And like you're not going to have to do any work at all. They're like, you got to do the work. Got to do the work. So it's like they keep telling you, and because I know I've said it several times, do the affirmation works. Do like get those headphones that you sleep in. I will not tell you guys to do shit if I haven't done it and I can't tell you it doesn't work. This shit works. It works. And it works because it's like, even when the times where like you've stopped doing the affirmations for a while and you stop like telling yourself you're a badass, you've stopped reassuring yourself, and you kind of like, because you're like, oh, I'm doing great, whatever, and you fall off from doing it. It's like not a daily practice anymore. Practice every day. That's why it's called a practice. You get to this point, you're like, oh yeah, I got to start doing that again. Like I can't, like, it's just like, oh, I stopped walking that path for a while. So like the weeds are starting to grow over. So I've got to like, keep forging through it. Just take a little walk. It doesn't have to be this huge, massive hike and like trudgery and like really grinding it all out the way I did the first time. But I got to take care of stuff. Got to keep that path there. So this is what I think happens. And this happens with a lot of people. It's not that you, like, I feel like you're doing this stuff and it feels like something about 3 weeks. So like maybe the next 3 weeks, like really putting your mindset to it, 21 days of like doing the work and starting to feel a shift. And it's not that the possibility isn't there for you to be with him. It's sort of starting to see him in a different light and being like, why did I have him on that pedestal? Why did I care so much? Like, why did I think he was such a badass? And I was like, so lucky to have him. That's what I think happens. And then you're not going to be able to get him off of you too. I feel like he's going to be really like, oh, you can donate, JJ. That's fine. Yeah, I kind of feel like you're going to be letting him go. Like where you're going to be like, stop that. Like I do feel like you'll kind of date him for a little while, but I just feel like it's like, the trip. What is the 3-week connection? Is that when the trip is? Listen, enjoy being confused a little bit. It's fine to be confused a little bit. We learn in those spaces. like I was telling my daughter, this is a great conversation with her where she was feeling really bad. And I was like, it's okay to make mistakes. Like I told her, like, I've learned some of the best lessons in life from mistakes, from just like not doing it well and not beating myself up for not doing it perfectly, but that's where I've learned. And I wish someone would have kind of like been really open and talked to me about stuff, but like, hello, I am Gen X. Our parents neglected us. Like, we didn't get the emotional lessons and like all of that stuff. We didn't get all of that. So I want my kids to have that. You'll be in Portugal for 3 weeks. Okay. When do you leave? I think it'll be fine. Sorry, I'm opening a seltzer. My sense is that it will be fine. The trip will be fine, but I also feel like the connection is a little lackluster. So it's sort of, again, that's part of that seeing him in a different light, maybe pulling him off of that pedestal. I have a bad habit of putting people on pedestals that don't deserve to be there. Hello, Divine Goddess. Welcome, welcome. Why the fuck would you be jealous of Stacy? You are a badass, amazing goddess woman. Why the fuck be jealous of anybody else? Oh, it's 1 week long and 3 weeks. So that makes sense then for why I feel that way. No, I honestly, I feel like don't be jealous of Stacy. This is like not even, but the truth is like when you're working on these affirmations, like there is no need to have the jealousy. Period. Because like I told my daughter, JJ, I got your payment. If you believe in like the whole law of assumption and creating things, like there's no point. And like you look at, like you can look up third party situations. When you own your own thing, it doesn't matter if somebody is something else than you. You're still amazing. I told my daughter, when you say all those things, because she says, she'll worry about things. And I'm like, but like, you don't know that any of that is true that you're worrying about. And I'm not talking about like how people feel and react. Like I pick up stuff from people all the time. I know when they don't like me. I'm not making it up in my head. I've known it since I was a kid. And I don't think like, oh, I'm a terrible, like when I was a kid, I thought, oh, I'm a terrible person. There's something wrong with me. And now I just think like, what the fuck did I do though? Like, and then I just realized like, and it takes me a lot shorter time to go, oh, it's like, it's not really so much about like, there's a learning lesson here for me, triggering me about like these things. And like, I need to like stop putting people on pedestals that like somehow like they're deserving of my whatever. There's no reason for you to be jealous of this person at all. At all. Your worth and your value come from within you, and you decide what you're worth, and you get to say whether you're valuable or not. And then the energy just flows from there. If you say you're not valuable, like, so if you want to think about the way we create life and manifestation and the way everything sort of falls together is like our thoughts, what follows I am, are like the screenwriter, and our avatar is the main character. So whatever we believe about our main character, like, oh, I'm not good enough, nobody ever notices me, I'm not lovable. I'm difficult. Like whatever all the shit is that like we tell ourselves or that has been ingrained in us by parents, society, whatever, then we believe that main character is only worth like these experiences of not being enough, not being worthy, not being valuable. And then the universe goes, okay, we got this script here. And this is like the theme for this person. As they said, that's what the theme is for this main character. So we need to like cast all the roles and have everybody show up that way. And the easiest people to do that will show up. So if you feel not worthy, not valuable, not enough, not chosen, whatever, then there's going to be like, oh, they always pick somebody else. This other person always comes in. They always like, see, that will fucking show up for you. And this is not my, like, when I say like, I've seen people say like, this is toxic and that's, this is fucking how it is. And I find it fascinating. And the more I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's why I don't like focus on the whole CERN thing. And I don't focus on this new earth, like, oh, the world is dividing and like all the people are gonna stay here because that's like some Christian bullshit. The CERN thing, I feel like is just a distraction. It doesn't mean I don't think that these things are possible. It's just, I think they're distractions that you need to focus within yourself, do your own thing. It doesn't mean you don't treat others well. It doesn't mean that you don't go and fucking vote and try and shift things that way. But it just means like focus on what's going on in here and your spiritual practice, and don't worry about like, oh my God, but if I'm not enough, then that's gonna like that's I feel like is a distraction for you to like not be able to stand in your own power. That's what I think is going on. But like, please don't be jealous of her. That is not like, they're sort of like, that's like litmus test for you to know that you need to shift this stuff. What's going on in here about you? You're not doing anything wrong other than not telling yourself you're beautiful, you're valuable, you're worthy, you're chosen, you're more than enough, you're a fucking goddess, you're lovable, you're funny, you're incredibly smart. They'd be lucky to have you. What are they bringing to the table? And that's like, and I fucking know you. I've been reading you for a while. You feel like it's not like I don't have the time to blow smoke up anybody's ass. I won't tell somebody they're amazing. I'll just say, I appreciate you. If I don't think you're just fucking amazing, I'll just say, I appreciate you. I mean, I appreciate you for showing up here, but you know what I mean? Like, I have a really hard time telling somebody something that I don't mean. It doesn't mean I'm going to be mean to somebody, but I'm not going to lie to you either. I just may not say anything at all, but I'm definitely not going to blow smoke up your ass. That's not the reader I am. That's not the person I am. I hear little people entering the place. They came home from there, like this like water parky indoor thingy, whatever, near our house. I love that, Joel. It's true. Go have fun, enjoy your thing, do what you want. If he's meant to be with you in your life, he will be. So here's the thing. I don't even necessarily think about it. It's like whenever I'm like, oh, if it's meant to happen like that, then that takes the power away from you. Fucking own your power. I am amazing. I am beautiful. I am smart. Like, own that shit. Stand in that power. Even if you're like, oh, that's such a lie though. Like, I feel like it's so fake or whatever. Well, fucking so is the lie about like not being enough. About being like, ugh, always passed over. I'm not exciting. I'm not a good vibe. Whatever the shit is that we tell ourselves, that negative stuff, that's a lie too. Lie to yourself in the good way. All that stuff's a lie. We like men do it, women do it. Like it's so weird. Like the whole idea too about like out in California, there is a lot of plastic surgery everywhere. And I was talking to another woman and I just said, I I'm not saying I think plastic surgery is terrible. I've seen it do wonderful things. I've seen children's faces be repaired that were born with massive anomalies or had massive accidents, and cleft lip, cleft palate, like major things, like just gorgeous, amazing, beautiful artistry that these surgeons do. And then I've seen these women and men who have all of this work done on their faces or on their bodies, or like, and it doesn't stop with one procedure. Like, so there is a body dysmorphia issue going on, an insecurity issue going on. And I think because I look at my children, and there's parts of myself that I didn't like when I was younger, but then I see my children, I think they're fucking gorgeous and amazing. And I'm like, oh, they have my nose. Didn't always like my nose. Didn't like my small boobs for a long time. And I'm like, they don't have boobs yet. They're a little bit, but like, point being, like, how do you look at your children then and say like, oh, like it's beautiful? And they're like, but you just carved up your whole face. Like, how can you say that? Like, how do you offer any sort of sense of love for yourself if you're carving up yourself? And then she said, well, they probably tell them they can fix it 14. I'm like, ugh. Sorry. Anyway, Nicole, I have to move on. Allie, you're up. Leo sign, you're up. Laura, you're up. I just like saw a notification like Pope visits Canada to apologize for their role in the school's fucking genocide is what it was. Ah, the church. Yeah. I feel it. So it feels like October. And I feel like the partner will surprise you. That's just the feeling, like unexpected feelings on your part. My job is a mess. People quit all the time. It's a bad organization. People blame each other. I'm thinking of quitting too. Is that a good idea? Toxic workplaces are awesome. Don't you feel like they kind of do that everywhere, though? I mean, I hate to be an asshole, but I just feel like there is no perfect place to work, I think, except working for yourself. When I worked as a nurse, I was always like, I don't want to be in charge of anybody. Like, I just want to show up and do my job and like stay in my bubble. And like, I never really wanted to be super buddy with anybody. It was nothing personal. It was just like, I just feel like sometimes stuff gets really messy. And there's a lot of, I just want to do my job. The thing I liked about nursing was that it was like there was very clear rules around what my requirement, like what was expected of me. I don't think I could do a creative job and like work with a lot of people where they're like, do this. And then you come back and you're like, okay, I did it. And then they're like, but not like that. But you told me to be creative. That's not what I was thinking. Like, I'm like, I don't like ambiguity. I like it really fucking crystal clear. I'm good at tasks. Yeah, people are assholes. That's what I noticed out in Malibu. I'm going to answer you, Leo sign. I swear to God. But when I was in Malibu, like I was reading reviews of restaurants because there was going to be time where I was just really by myself. And so I was looking for places to eat and like whatever. And things to do. And I was like, every single place would be like, worst service ever. And I was telling my friend Carrie, I was like, I don't know if this is like the worst service ever, or if like it's somebody who's really pretentious and privileged, who's like, has never done any work and I think it was that because I had great service every single, even the places that were complained about, and the food was good. And I just think people forget that people are humans. Yeah. But I mean, I did meet really nice people out there. It was just interesting. Okay. Anyway, I'm not trying to complain, just like interesting observations. Leo sign. I heard it's interesting. I don't feel like you're meant to leave, you're meant to lead. So I don't know that you're in a management position now. I don't feel that, but I feel like stepping into it soon. I do feel like you'll be cleaning house in a way, and it does feel like people will leave, but it feels like keeping a really good paper trail where it's like setting up a new system to where no one gets blamed, but the right people take ownership of their mistakes. You're not in it. Yeah. Um, it doesn't feel this grand, but it's like sort of like, when you see those movies where it's like everything's going awry and the one person stands up and is like, we're going to start a labor union. And like you become the leader sort of just by the fact that like you're the one that's bold enough to step into those shoes. So I don't necessarily feel like it's like that, but it is like they see your ability to lead and sort of navigate those difficult situations, navigate those difficult conversations. I don't know. I think my sense is you don't give yourself enough credit for your ability to do that stuff. I don't know that it's necessarily you talking to talk to the manager about people not taking responsibilities. Yeah, maybe come up with it's like this feeling of like you come up with an idea of how to hold like it feels like there's something more procedural that needs to happen so that there's no way to blame somebody else, so that accountability happens through this process. So like example, because it feels like there's some kind of paperwork thing that should be happening or something that should be happening so that it follows through the right channels. So like before there was Pyxis machines, we had an actual lockbox on the wall with narcotics in it. And at the end of every shift, so you could take a narcotic out if you were giving them like whatever, you write it down and you count it and you account for it and the patient, and then like whatever, the charting and stuff. But did we have to co-sign on it? I don't remember if we had to co-sign when we were taking it out. We might have. But if you're wasting it, for sure you had to co-sign it. So like if you were only giving half a pill or 10 cc's and it was a 30 cc vial, whatever, you had to account for the wastage. And you counted at the beginning and end of every shift, right? So that it was always like, it feels like there's something that has to happen where it's like it can be traced. Or like there has to be a chain of command. It's not like the person goes straight to the top person and is like, oh, they did this. I don't have to It's like there's something that whatever is happening where people are getting blamed, it's like there's some step that's missing where accountability should happen. So it's like maybe you divine a plan for like, hey, I was thinking about this and I've noticed it's a problem and this might be the solution. That sort of thing. It feels like what happens. And then that's where it sort of moves you into a place of being a leader instead of a leaver. Laura and Joelle, you guys can ask your questions. I have to tell you, after that trip, like I haven't been around a large group of people like that, like interacting with so many people in a very long time, and I was exhausted. I was exhausted. Also, I'm now a year wiser. I just had a birthday. Okay, I was waiting for this to come. Okay. My sister finished her chemotherapy and radiation treatments. She complains about not being able to breathe properly, but her heart and lungs are fine. You will get it doesn't feel like a gigantic bump, but I do feel a bump. Something about 10. So I don't know if it would be like $10,000 a year. 10% is a pretty good raise, though. It feels like there's something about that. Can you tell me your sister's first name, Laura? I feel like it, I don't know, in my brain, because then when I do is I go, oh, tell me about so and so. And I could do it with Laura's sister, but whatever. Someone paid last week for a reading, and obviously I wasn't live. And so I was like, she was asking something about our apartment. And I was like, can you send me a floor plan of your apartment? Like, I don't want to see whatever, because I can see, because like they were showing me, she was looking for an area where there might be mold, and they were showing me like literally like the baseboard and like the drywall, like as if I was like sitting against the wall like that. I'm like, I can't see the room around it. So I was like, I'll be able to like, I don't know, scry from looking at it, just looking at the thing and feeling it. Laura, what's your sister's name? Also, another thing that came up, Miriam. Okay. Another thing that came up real quick. This woman had a reading because she wanted to connect with her dog that passed. And I think it's really interesting that this came up, because I was like, oh, your dog is with you, but I feel like it's with you when you sleep more, because you did see it at a point, but I described something and then I was like, but it like freaks you out or you questioned it. And so it doesn't want to scare you or upset you. So it's like it comes and sleeps next to you when you're sleeping. And I feel like your love, like in general, this is like a general thing, like your loved ones will visit you that way rather than like standing in front of you or like really making their presence known for several reasons. Like for me, when my grandmothers that I was closest with passed, I was kind of like, this is overwhelming and I need to grieve without you here. Like, I love you, but when you're here and I'm grieving you, like, this is like not the time. Now they've been showing up a little bit more. And this has been years already. Like, my one grandmother died in 2000 and my other grandmother died in 2008. But it was like, they will honor us and where we're at. It doesn't mean that they don't show up just because you're not aware of them in your waking state. All right, Miss Miriam, let's check you out. So I don't feel like it's a lung issue either. I feel like what's happening is something is happening that's pushing up on her diaphragm here that's not allowing her to expand all the way and catch that breath. So this is like this side, liver, pancreas, gallbladder. And it feels like really, does she feel bloated or complaining of being bloated? Because it's almost like I get this like, and I just can't like expand all the way. I don't feel wheezing or tightness, or like I don't feel like there's narrowing in the capillaries, or I just feel like that would create like an increased pressure and a difficulty of air exchanging. It literally feels like it's from outside the lungs pushing up and not allowing expansion. And the particular drug that they used, it just feels like focus on the pancreas because she might not be getting, I don't know, something might be off with pancreas, liver, gallbladder numbers. And I feel like it's an inflammation secondary to whatever that medication was. Now, a lot of times you might think of kidneys being, but I feel like it's that area for whatever reason. I feel like her kidneys are okay, but like there's inflammation just from the chemo, the treatment that they did. And it feels like they're like the studies that showed like this was that it decreases over time, but initially it's not. So you can't validate any of this. Email me because I'm curious and validate it for me. But that's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like it's an actual lung issue. Like I don't feel like they would see anything on a scan. You can be specific if you want to. That's fine. You're welcome, Laura. I'm glad she's finished. I hope she starts feeling better soon. And I heard she will. And I don't know that a steroid is what's going to help it, but it's. So I feel like that might make it worse or something. Do you want to be more specific, Joelle? And then Albert and JJ. Thank you for trusting me, Devry. And thank you for not being so pissed off at me when I'm honest. I'm like, no, you're supposed to do this. And for coming back. And, your support means a lot to me too. So it's not, I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Thank you. You have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to be kind and share that with me. Because you didn't have to. And I'm giving you a hug back. Okay. I feel like I could fall asleep, but I'm not going to. It's just like I got really relaxed and into the energy. All right, Joelle. So I asked them like, well, when is love coming in? And it's like after the move, but I feel like there's somebody before the move, like somebody, but it doesn't feel serious. So it feels like, like something to occupy your time. And this isn't to be cruel or cold, but like I dated a guy one time where I was like, I literally heard on our first date, my guys were like, this is not going to happen with him. Like and we dated for a couple months, like nothing serious, just like hanging out, whatever. Nothing like let's move in. It was just like literally something like, oh yeah, you want to hang out? Okay. Like it was not, we were like so not a match. But like he couldn't understand the need for health insurance because he could just write checks. And I was like, yeah, like lots of people can't. Like he was very privileged. It's like we wouldn't. It would have been anyway. But he and I lived in two different worlds. But the point being is like that's what it feels like. It's just like something to occupy your time. But then I feel like meeting somebody like they're making me feel like almost like lifetimey movie. Like you're working and they walk in the shop. Like that kind of a feeling. Like it is not intentional. It's not like, oh look, I'm on Bumble or Grind. And you wouldn't be on Grinder. That's not the right one. Tinder. Sorry, I clearly have not dated in a long time. I just hear names. Grinder's not your app. But it feels like something like that. Like you're not, it's not intentional. You're not putting yourself out there. Like it's literally just running into the person. Like they come in and like it's like it feels very like or that I watched You've Got Mail just because I just like, you know, I like to watch older like 80s movies. I just do because they're like, you know, comfort, like eating comfort food. It's like comfort movies. Give me two names. That's fine. Yeah, totally. First names are perfect. I don't like I don't like to get messed up in people's last names or their birthdays or their birth signs or just it's too messy. Just a first name is good. Because if I met you, that's all I know you by, right? I'm not gonna be like, come here, watch her, see if we're compatible. People read through their personalities. Like, so there's like, I've sat with readers. They're like, give me the name on your birth certificate and your birth date. And I'm like, don't forget your social security number. And can I just have your bio identity? And is it Michelle and Christopher? Your guides are funny because I was like said the Christopher and I heard immediately no. I feel like with Christopher, this is really interesting. They're sort of like God, they're really ratting him out. There's some kind of weird financial thing with him. It's like immediately no. I don't know what that means. Is he a financial person or do you know if he has money issues? Michelle feels I'm guessing it's a French name, Michelle. It or unless it's Michael and I'm saying it wrong, whatever. But that's not the most American thing, like whatever. That energy feels very not like it just doesn't feel like connected, grounded. It feels much more like absent, flaky, maybe emotionally unavailable. It just feels like not so much there. It feels very distant. So maybe this is the one where it's like, it's just something to do. And like, it's like, there's not a great attachment there. So maybe he's obsessed with money or he has issues with money. Like it's in the finance thing. It's like, it's just like, they're like, there's money stuff there. So it could be wrapped up in like, that's my main focus, business, work, doing all of that. So it's like immediately, no, it would be like, not all rich people are like this because I know plenty of well-off people who are like, you would never know it. They're very sweet. They're very kind and generous. They're very down to earth, but there are some people who are very wrapped up in that and like earning more and getting more and more. And like where it's a privileged attitude and a sense of like, when you really get to know them, they think they're better than other people for it. There's something interesting about it. Yeah, I don't care about people's horoscope sign. What is that? Who cares? It's kind of none of them. I feel like more than anything, I feel like Michelle might be the person that's like the kind of like whatever, but I feel like you meet somebody after you move, whatever that means. And it literally feels like, have you seen You've Got Mail? It's like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. And like she's working in her little, oh my God. So you're going to understand the connection to this one. I went, oh my God, I just realized. So she works in this bookstore that used to be her mom's bookstore that she passed down to her. And I don't think this is like the same exact thing, but he walks in and makes a cute first impression, whatever. And they like sort of like, it feels like that connection of, I work in this business and because I can hear the bell on the door, and then the guy walks in, and it's not that it's like love at first sight. Oh my God, let me take you on a date. It's like these cute little interactions over time. That's how it feels. It happens. It's not somebody you would expect or know. You're very welcome. I just thought of a movie. I'm like, oh, what other movie do I have not seen in a while? It's like old. Okay, sorry. I like watching the old ones. Oh, funny movie though. This new Nicolas Cage one we just rented was funny, where he plays himself. It's funny. It's cute. Whatever. Anyway, Albert, you're up, dear, and then JJ. Thank you for trusting me, by the way. What do you mean people are out there for more? Oh, yes, I looked at it. Yes, I'm looking at it right now, JJ. And then Albert, is yours on? I really don't have a question in mind. Tell me what I need to know, please. Okie doke. All right. I won't read yours aloud since you don't want me to. So I'm So I don't feel like it's as bad as you think it is, but I do feel like there's there's a line of code. I don't want to say firewall, but like that's what I keep hearing. I don't know anything about coding, by the way. Coding. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Wisconsin. My Wisconsin O's are coming out. It's like this is the way they're telling me. It's like a little tiny bit line of code up against a firewall. Yes, you can donate for another question. So I don't know what that means or if that's like whatever, but it feels like it just needs to be removed. That's all I'm being shown is like a little tiny bit of code up against a firewall. That's the way they're telling it to me. I don't know coding. I can't tell you what anything is. It's like, and it just feels like it's like this tiny little, ugh. Like it's not lines and lines and lines and you totally screwed it up. It's like there's this little glitch. It doesn't feel like you'll get fired, but it feels like it needs to be addressed. So it's like one of those things of like, either go in and fix it yourself or have somebody fix it, but it's like I need to say it to like it has to be said, not just like I hope the thing doesn't like it's like because it's not as bad as you think it is. And it's this feeling of like, yeah, everybody's sort of made this mistake here or there before. Like you're human, but thanks, like we really appreciate you saying something before. Like, so we're looking for it rather than like, so we're testing it. Like, there's a way to fix it instead of just like hoping that you don't get hit by the shrapnel, whatever. But I don't feel like you'll get fired for it. It feels like actually more respect for being like, I fucked up. Because it doesn't feel intentional. It feels like, oh shit, I shouldn't have hit send. Like I meant to like I should have proofread that first and I just like absentmindedly hit send and it went off and like fuck. But it feels like even if it's known there, it just feels like it needs to be like now you take the time to go over and I mean people do stuff. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And it feels like any of those other I don't know if you're writing code, whatever, coders, like they've all done shit like where it's like, oh, I just hit it like not thinking. I didn't do it intentionally. I didn't do it like I'm being lazy. It was like, you know, you can send another one. That's fine. Right. And guess what? You're human. You're not the first person that's made that mistake before. And you won't be the last person that's made that mistake. So give yourself some grace. You'll never make that mistake again. I promise you. Like, it'll never, ever happen again. Just won't. What was I talking about earlier? Had that whole conversation with my daughter that like, that's where we learn. Like people make mistakes and you're not the worst person ever because you did it. You're human. Part of being human. It's like when people are like, oh, I'm always in this high vibe state. Bullshit. You're human. You're fucking human. You're here for a human experience. You're not going to be out of your ego ever. Welcome to the fucking club. We all have egos. You will have an ego your entire fucking life because you're human. Hopefully you can float out of that sometimes, but like you're still going to have it. We still have shit. All right. Okay. All right, Albert, you just want a general reading? Laura, you can go ahead and then Albert. Okay, so I'm going to do Albert's. And then I have Mary's paid for a reading. So as soon as you guys pay for them, I'll put your names back on. So I'll read Albert's and then Mary, you're added to the list. I don't know if you're Mary on here. Hang on. Sorry, dear. Oh, that's interesting. We'll look into it in a second. Okay, Albert. You've been having a lot of headaches lately, and are you like, I have like a lot of pressure in my throat. Do you have sore throat? Or are you like, it's like all here and up? Ooh, busy. You've been sick recently. Okay. Is this fit with your symptoms? This is not your message. I'm just letting you know this, that I feel like feeling more yourself in about 2 weeks. Like if this feels like, did you have COVID? It just feels like whatever this is, it's like it's taking a long time to kind of get back to yourself. Have you ever boiled a pot of water with like lemons in it? It just feels like whatever reason they're showing me like that, for whatever reason that feels refreshing, helpful. I'm not saying it's going to cure you. It just, for whatever reason, that combination of the citrusy, whatever, and the like this, not, do not stick your head over a boiling pot of water. I'm not saying to do that, but just having that in the air, a little bit more moisture, and the lemon to it seems to alleviate discomfort. Oh, your mom told you to do that and you haven't done it. Mm-hmm. So now you're hearing it twice. That's how the universe reminds you. One person will give you a lovely message and then another person will share it with you. And you can choose to listen to it or not, but the universe will keep knocking at that door. Okay, so let's figure this out. So one thing they did said initially was like to keep moving, to keep going, to not give up. So when I'm giving the general stuff that seems kind of like, well, that could be for anybody. That's why they give me the weird, like you've been sick and you should do this. And like, those are the validating things for anybody who's watching. Albert knows I'm the real deal. So the equivalent of the like setback or whatever they're showing me is like stubbing your toe. They're like, it hurts, it sucks, but you can keep moving. Right? So it hurts that you didn't get the grade that you wanted. It hurts that it didn't come out as good as you wanted, but also remember, C's get degrees. There is nobody anywhere who's ever going to be like, my doctor only graduated in the middle of his class. That shit doesn't matter at a point. Sorry. Apparently I worked with some top doctors, but I'm sure a lot of them were just fucking average too. Pardon my effing whatever. So it just feels like you stubbed your toe, keep moving. This is not the end of the world. This is not where it ends. And med school is no joke. It's hard. Residency sucks. And not because I've been in it, because I've worked with a lot of doctors and it's hard. They just said you're going to move mountains. This is not the time to give up. Are you considering doing 2 specialties? Because they're showing me you being double board certified. So it wouldn't be such a stretch between them, whatever it is, but it feels like being double board certified. So maybe like doing something with public health and then doing something with pediatrics or doing, I don't know, whatever. Allergy immunology and whatever. So there's some guy I follow on TikTok, and he's like an anesthesiologist and an intensivist. So he works in the intensive care, but then like, so sometimes some of his rotation is in the intensive care unit. And then like, he'll spend a month doing anesthesiology. He's double board certified. It just feels like having 2 focuses, but not necessarily political. So it may mean the activism comes into play somehow within medicine. So there's a lot of gaslighting that happens in medicine. So maybe it's something with working with, the LGBTQ community, trans community, getting them like the proper care that they need and that. Or maybe it's something like, BIPOC people get gaslit a lot, something like that. Like there's something where it's like it incorporates, it's not necessarily that you're running for office and you're a doctor. So, and that might be where the moving mountains comes from. Miss Mary, if you want to ask your question, but do the thing with and then maybe throw a little bit of rosemary in the water too. So a little twig of rosemary. You're very welcome. I'm so glad you came and visited today. Oh, well, let me check. I did get it. Okay. So I'll do Mary's first and then I'll do yours. Laura's, did you pay for a sec? Oh, you did. There you go. Okay. Sorry, dearies. Okay. So Mary, why don't you go? You've been waiting patiently. Oh, I have your question actually. Forgive me. I'll just answer it. So if you're not here, you can hear the answer. Why couldn't it have been Renee as a stepmother? Why'd she let Chuck badger her? Oh, girl. This is an interesting one that I just got. And I don't like to usually say these ones this way because it feels like a little general. So I actually feel like Renee in your past life was a father for you. And so the two of you have a lovely connection. It's not like all, it's just there is a really nice connection and bond there. Why did she pick Chuck over Renee? Because Renee couldn't fulfill like I don't want to say karmic because it's not necessarily karmic, but like the lessons she needs to learn. He won't stretch her to grow enough. He won't cause enough friction for her to grow and like heal that part of herself. He genuinely is like, I don't want to say too good for her, but just not the right vibrational match. Whereas Chuck creates that opportunity for her own growth. So that's why it didn't happen. So it wasn't like when you're like, oh, he badgered her and like, oh, like, but like literally he fulfills this need that she has to create this situation to force her growth. And the reason you have such a deeper connection with Renee is because you have past life connection with Renee that you don't have. And Renee would be a healthier partner for her, for sure. But also, she wouldn't learn from it. And I know you're like, it's this feeling of like, yeah, well, she's not learning anyway now. Like she hasn't figured it out, but it's like, she's getting there. Okay, JJ, what's your next question? And then Laura. And then I'm going to say goodnight. I don't really understand the question you're asking. He liked a picture on social media. I don't know what it and is not used to. Like he doesn't normally like. I just want to be really clear on that because if I ask it in a way that's like weird, I get weird answers. So I just. You're welcome, Mary. No, it's not. So I'm going to repeat it to you, and then you're going to tell me if this is what I'm saying or this is what you're intending. Okay. Because again, impact, intention, all of that stuff. Like sometimes we say things and it's like the impact is different. So this is what I'm reading. So he normally doesn't like your photos. He did on this one. So you're wondering, did he just like click it and like not think anything of it, or was he interested in it? Okay. Um, so I don't feel like he's as intentional as like maybe you're hoping, like in the sense of like he's not planning it as like this is like I don't feel like he's trying to play a game or anything like that. But it or even like I want her to know I really like her. It literally feels like, oh, that's like I like that. Like whereas before maybe he did hold back a little bit, but I don't feel like it's like I'm doing it to let her know I really like her. And I know things are different in the Indian culture where like because I was taught this, like this woman that I met this past weekend who's was telling me the story, her love story, and they're Indian and her husband is Indian. They're from different castes. And it was quite a really, it was very, I was like, you should write a movie because this thing could be on Netflix. I'm telling you. like, but there's something very formal about it, right? So like he had to ask permission in order to be able to go on a date with her. And so it does feel like there is some awareness and understanding of that. Like I don't feel like he's just totally like flippant. Um, but it's kind of like that, like I accidentally liked it. Like I liked it, but I accidentally clicked the button, but I can't like go back now. And I don't want her to think that I don't like it. Like, so there's a thought process there, but it's not like I'm so in love with her. I'm lusting after her. Like I need her to know now. Cause I feel like he will take the steps that when it's the right time to take those steps. I feel like he's very aware of the rules. So yes, he liked it, but like maybe didn't intentionally mean to like it. And then I was like, oh shit, I accidentally did that. Like kind of like that, like, oh no, I accidentally hit send. I'm stuck with it now. And I don't think he would want to hurt your feelings. I don't get that feeling at all. It's so funny. Like it's like this there's this gift that happens with age where you look back and you realize you spent so much time worrying if somebody liked you or not instead of just being like, of course he likes me. Like trying to read the signs and figure it out and work on the affirmations and the self-concept. And like, of course he likes me. I don't need to read the signs because I know it's super fucking clear. You don't have to say it that way. Like you don't have to take on mine. Like you can do it differently, but just it feels like kind of like owning your power. And just because you're saying you're beautiful and amazing and smart and chosen and valuable and worthy and all of those things doesn't mean you're saying and no one else is. You're just saying I am me. And guess what? There's 7 billion people in the world. And that's okay for me to say that because I'm not saying like I'm the only one who deserves love in the world and like me, 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 me. You're just saying like I'm valuable. I'm worthy. I'm worth somebody showing up and showing me. I know there's an interesting like little peacocking dance going on, but sort of own your power and then his energy steps in more. He did it by mistake, but not really. Like, so like he did like it, but it was like, you know, when you go to check somebody's profile out, I haven't done this a long time because I've really been like pretty absent on social media, but like I accidentally requested to follow somebody when I was really, it was just it's like a long story of the connection, but like, and I didn't really want to follow her. I just accidentally hit it. I was like, shit, that kind of thing. Or like someone that I used to be friends with followed me on here. Like she followed me and then unfollowed me when she was like upset with me. Like we had our friendship breakup. And then she followed me again. And I was like, I texted her, I was like, hi. just to fuck with her because I know how she is. And because I was being an asshole and I don't care. I mean, I don't wish her any ill will in any way and whatever. In fact, I sent her a message the other day saying like, I think this might, I know you don't have to respond. And I know you don't ever want to talk to me again. And I totally don't care, but I found this information and I think it actually might help you in like an issue she had. And like, I'm not an asshole to people. I'm not going to begrudge you something if I think this might help you. Like, just the way I am. Whatever. Do I owe her anything? Absolutely fucking not. But my point is like, it's like one of those things like, oh, I didn't think she'd know I would follow her. So it's like, oh, and I didn't like, but it's not like, oh, I don't actually like it. And I want to like unlike it and block her and like, I don't want her. Like, it's just like, oh, okay. We'll see where that goes. Okay. Because I want to be clear on that. All right. Laura, what's your other question? And to Mary to address, because I don't want you to think that I dismissed that by being like, yeah, those relationships do affect you. And I think when parents aren't grown enough in their own steps that they don't really look at how their decisions impact their children. Laura, I'm being more brought to like March of next year rather than this year. They're making me feel like this year is a hot desert. Like, there's no growth, there's no rain. It's just like it is what it is, and we all have to get through it. And then it feels like in March of next year. So it's like they're highlighting March and they're highlighting July. I don't think you live in the desert, but that's what it feels like. They're showing me that like the 18th or the number 18, there's a significance around that as well. And I don't want to say like, oh, July 18th, because I don't want to, because I'm not certain enough to connect that to like a birthday or whatever, but it's like the number 18 seems significant. So you might see like maybe it's an address somewhere, maybe it's their birthday, or then maybe it's the day that you meet them, like whatever, the number 18 will seem significant with this connection. That's all I can throw on that one. So I don't know. Yes, JJ, go ahead. And then I really have to go because I got to pee now. Like this is like I can't stay here any longer. I'm not rocking back and forth because I have to pee, but it's just yeah, I have to pee. I mean, if we're gonna be real here I am a human being. I've been drinking fluids. Probably too many fluids, but somebody stole my water bottle today. And I wasn't mad about it. I'm not mad about it, but I thought that's odd. That's an odd thing to steal of somebody. So like we went to this water parky thing and we put our stuff in a locker, but I had my towel and I thought, well, I'm gonna leave my water bottle out so I can come get it. I don't have to go to the locker and like unlock it every time. And go ahead and ask your question. And I like came back, we were gonna eat lunch. Well, I wasn't really eating because I can't eat any of the food there, but like I had fruit and whatever. But I was looking for my water bottle. I'm like, I can't find my water bottle. Like went and looked in the bag. At least maybe nobody stole it. Maybe I left it somewhere and I just flaked on it. Either way, if somebody did take it, weird thing to take, right? Or maybe I just left it somewhere. I set it down, like forgot. Whatever. Wasn't meant to be mine anymore, I guess, right? Right. Let's just trust the world, the universe. Okay. Go ahead, JJ. Ask your question. I got it. Just go. It's okay. I might start doing some lives on TikTok over there. And I haven't posted a video. I've been like really, really like not like energetically been like in this like that. So I want to start sharing my stories over there and like trying to like create a practice, show up. I asked for a French citizenship, haven't gotten my interview yet. Will I get it? It's taking too long compared to others. It's not because you're not going to get it. It does feel like there's like, so they're showing me like going through channels and filters and like everybody sort of has a different channel. And for whatever reason, so if you went to a DMV line, I don't know if you've, the DMV is the driving motor vehicle, whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever. Where you get your driver's license or your plates for your cars or all of that stuff. The Department of Motor Vehicles. Jesus. So like there's different lines you go to each one. And it's like, oh my God, why did I get the one that takes so long? And it feels like whatever path yours went through, it's like the person that has that work to do has had their own delays, like they're either own health issues or whatever. So it's like, you got that line. So it's just more delays than anything, but it's not because you're not going to get it. I don't know if this is a total of 8 months from now, or if it's a total of 8 months from the time you put the thing in to the time you get like, and then you get the response that like, but you're going to get it. It's just, you got the slow line. Or like when you go to the grocery store, I don't know if it's this way where you're at, but when we go to the grocery store and like you pick the line, you think, oh, this one's going to be like, there's only 2 people in front of me. And like, whatever, you get the person who has to do like 50 million ways of paying for something. And like, then like the thing's not ringing. And so they like have to go and like, go check this aisle for me. And like doing all that, like you got that line. Like, why is everybody else going ahead of me? Like, it shouldn't be like, I don't understand. Like you just got that. You got the crappy, slow line. So what does 8 months connect or make sense? They're literally showing me like that movie Zootopia. If you've watched that, it's a cartoon. And like, and the DMV people are sloths. And like, they're like, oh my God. They're like, no, I only have 30 minutes to get out and get this. Like it 8 with waiting period. Okay. Perfect. So it's like, it's that feeling. You'll be okay. You'll get it. It'll like, it'll happen when it like, it'll fall into place. You'll get what you need, but it's just slow. Thank you for validating the 8 with waiting. So that makes sense. Okay, perfect. All right. I really have to go pee. Okay, so have a wonderful week. Don't take yourself so seriously. Love yourself. Don't feel like anybody needs to like you. You're perfect just as you are. Quirks and weirdness and all. We're all good enough. Okay, have a good night. Bye. And thank you for your support.